Hi go-getters. Today I am going to be talking about something that a lot of people are going to frown at the beginning. Yes, I am quite aware of the disappointments that some of you are going to get from this video. But believe me that by the end of this video, you will be glad you clicked to watch. Now, one thing I always tell my peers is for us to retrospect at the mistakes that our parents made and make sure that we avoid them. All right, for the only way to grow is to accept or acknowledge your mistakes and learn from them, or better still, learn from others' mistakes. Now, I am going to be talking about something that most of our parents did back in the days that feels almost stupid to me nowadays. So like you saw from the title, I am going to hands down discourage you on building on your land, especially as a first investment. Now remember, on the channel I once made a video talking about land banking that you all loved so much. I encourage land banking quite alright. But do you know that in as much as I told you to land bank and maybe exploit the land later, that is selling part of the land and investing on the other part of the land, that advice is not really for everyone, all right? If you are a beginner in investments, I wouldn't advise you build on your land for rent. This is what I would advise you to. Now, let me just take the example of my own uncle who built here in Yaoundé, all right? And Yaoundé is actually the capital city of Cameroon and has got one of the most expensive rents. Now, like any other African, he had this brilliant idea of investing on a rental property here in Yaoundé. He erected a structure of 6 apartments, and each of the apartments were given out for $200 a month. Let's just talk about one apartment now for the purpose of this video. Now, an average apartment in Cameroon will cost $20,000 to build, which is roughly what he spent. Now, if you do the math, $20,000 divided by 12 months where they pay you $200, you are going to take about 100 months to recover the money invested. And that is something about 8 years, 3 months. Which is a lot, right? Now imagine waiting for 8 whole years to recover your money. And the thing is, most people would even get a loan to build such structures to put out for rent. So what a waste. Not only this business is so slow in recovering your money, but also it is so strenuous and traumatic. Now, in my uncle's case, he had a couple of recalcitrant tenants. There is this one tenant who we barely saw, all right? He would disappear and maybe appear after 6 months, making him pay rent whenever you can lay your hands on him. So if you don't see him, he doesn't pay the rent. So he had to accumulate a lot of unpaid months of rent that my uncle was just at a certain point begging him to give him back the keys to the apartment, and which he did at his own convenience. And my uncle actually lost a lot of months of rent just with that tenant. Now, there is this other tenant who was actually a married man and unfortunately lost his job at a certain point and wasn't capable of paying his rent anymore. So this one, by the time we noticed that he had actually lost his job and couldn't pay the rent, he had accumulated over 6 months rent. And you know, a tenant will always say, oh, I will pay, please next week, please next month. And that's how the time goes by. And he lost a lot of money that he is not going to get back just from those inconveniences. So those are just a few examples of what landlords face most times in Cameroon, and I guess that applies to many other African countries. Now imagine the headache of having to treat with unconscious individuals who just don't want to pay your rent on time, who pay when they want. And imagine if you got a loan to build that structure. Imagine how stressful it could be, because you are obviously going to fail at the level of your loan repayment schedule at the bank, which is not a situation you want to find yourself in. And that's not all. all, with a building you've got for rent, there is maintenance, right? As the years go by, the building is going to be dilapidating and you will need to constantly spend on the maintenance of your property. So to me, investing in a rental property is not advisable for a beginner. Like I said, I would rather you do that when you are comfortably seated as an investor, someone who masters the game already. You've got other investments that bring you money and you don't really rely on this structure for a living or for a loan repayment. So to me, construction is something you should invest in when you've already had a firm grip on other investments. You could do that as one of your investments, just like another way to accumulate more assets in order for you to have more leverage at the level of getting loans to invest in other businesses. Don't go into construction as a main or first investment. Now, this is something I noticed in my own vicinity, and the idea to me was a genius one. This man had this plot of land sitting there for over 3 years, and we were obviously thinking that he is going to build a monumental structure. And the reason why we thought so is because most people who let their land sit in an already exploited quarter often do that for this reason. Considering the fact that most of the people who bought land in my vicinity actually live abroad, we obviously thought that he is letting that land sit there because he's got a big project, that is a construction project, right? But do you know that this man shocked all of us with something we least expected? When I saw it, I was like, all right, this idea makes sense, but I didn't know to what extent the idea made sense. That is to say, how much that idea could make money. I decided to take a walk just to exercise and get some fresh air. Now, I was shocked, goal-getters, to notice some good, beautiful green pasture and a cute fence with a note on it letting people know that there is a green space for them to rent for their events. I was so marveled by this idea, go-getters, and I thought of, wow, how smart this man is. Now, do you know that that man's green space is actually the center of attraction in our vicinity? People actually come from far and near to rent that space for their events. And talking to you right now, there are series and series of events taking place there every weekend and at times during the week. People host their birthday parties there, their anniversaries, and many other events that you could think of. And I can imagine how effortlessly this man makes money from that place. Mark you, all he did is lay lawn and just a fence of flower trees and he's good to go, and that's how he's making good money from that brilliant idea. Now, go-getters, when I try to assess this man's investment, it doesn't exceed $2,000. Now, all he's got there is a restroom, a barbecue area, and chairs. Now, when I try to estimate what he must have spent, let's assume he spent like $1,000 for maybe the bathroom and the barbecue slab, and that is it. Now, when I assess those chairs, he could have spent maybe $500 or so. And when it comes to loan, I've got some loan in my yard and I can estimate his loan to be something not even up to $500. Now, let's estimate that he spent a total of $2,000 on that property. But the money he's making, go-getters, is far beyond. He can literally make that $2,000 in a month. Let me just take a rough estimate. Let's assume one rents that place for just $200 per event, which we know is very small, right? Now, let's also assume he just makes 2 sales per week, which totalizes to 8 sales per month. Now, those 8 events at $200 will give him a minimum of $1,600 per month. And remember, we took just the minimum. That goes to say that he must have made the $2,000 he invested there in just a month. Now, the icing of the cake is, with such businesses, there are other businesses that you can attach to them that you couldn't maybe attach attached to your real estate business. Imagine this man associates logistics and catering services to this event space renting business. He's going to be making at least times two, all right? So we are talking of a minimum of $3,000 per month. So imagine someone building an apartment and letting it out for $200, and another person just putting some lawn, few chairs and a restroom and renting that space for a minimum of $200 per month as well. You can weigh the two and see that there is no point for argument. Now, that's not all, goal getters. Another thing that I would advise you to as well on your piece of land, if you got one that you don't want to build right away, is to buy a briquette making machine and start producing briquettes. You could just hire 1 or 2 people to handle the machine for you, and that's how you start making your money. If you're interested, you can watch this video wherein I talked detailedly on the briquette making machine. Now, don't get me wrong, goal getters, I am not in any way discouraging anyone from building a property and giving it out for rent. But all I am saying is, as a beginner and a first-time investor, it isn't a wise thing to do. For it is just like some money that you are burying and that you are going to take a lot of time to recover, which is not safe. So that said, I would love to know what you think in the comment section, and do well to share this video with your loved ones so that they stop making these mistakes as first-time investors. That said,